Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Vacation Rental Machine. In this episode, we're going to be doing something pretty different, but very cool. John's going to be showing us a live action case study of looking at markets, and we're going to be doing it from two perspectives. We're going to be doing it from a paid way, which is going to be utilizing this program called Airdna, and then we're also going to be doing it the free way, which would just be using Airbnb. So, John, let's look at a live case of what are you doing when you are trying to identify a market that would be good to start investing in.
All right. So I got a property that I need to look at, and I wanted to walk you guys through how I do it. And I also wanted to show you guys the way I used to do it before I started paying for stuff, paying for data. I use Airdna. Airdna does save me a lot of time, but I am still parsing through a lot of the information that they have. Let's talk about Airdna just in general, right? Airdna, they get data feeds from Airbnb and HomeAway, and they use that data and present it to you as just information. I mean, it's a plethora of all kinds of information. I'll show you guys. That's about the best way I can do this. All right, everyone, we're looking at Airdna. Looks pretty, right? So what I got right here is a zip code that I'm looking at. This is in Washington, D.C. As you can see, the zip code is highlighted right in this area here. You can also see, as I hover over things, these are all the listings that are popping up either on Airbnb or on HomeAway, or in some cases, both. So immediately, because I know my listing is a entire home, if I wanted to look at this chart, I would just go ahead and exit out of those other listings. They're not going to be comparable to what I'm looking for. I could zoom down in this area and get really close to what I'm looking at. And I can also use this to try to click on any one of the properties to see them either in Airbnb or HomeAway, or just look at them from this quick view here.
So what would cause you to look at this specific location? Are you just taking a guess at areas that maybe would be good at investing, or how do you even identify that this is a zip code that you should be looking at?
For my purposes today, I'm actually looking for myself. I've already identified a property that I'm trying to analyze. So that's what drew me to this area. But again, from the last episode that we had, if I were to use this tool and I'm looking for my very first unit, I'm going to look in my backyard, somewhere local, somewhere within 20 miles of where I am. This is going to give me good numbers and things that I can estimate on what I potentially could earn, and also caution me against certain things. And we'll get to a lot of that. Over in this top corner, we have a market grade. I like this because this gives me a quick, if it's a D, I'm probably not going to do anything. If your market shows up with a D or less, I think maybe you should look somewhere else, unless you're going for that rural experience where maybe there isn't anything around. Maybe there's no city, but yet you're doing a farm. What do they call those?
Farm stay?
Farm stays, right? Those are great. Don't let that deter you from whatever. This is just great for me because it's a city and I'm really looking for competitive numbers. So in this, the reason why it has a B, we see the rental demand somewhere around 78%. I look at that, and I also look at the seasonality score. One of the things that you'll learn once you're in this business is things are seasonal. So you want to make sure that you're at least going to be even, or you're going to want to know when your high and low season are. And this tool does show me when those times are. So it's very important. I skip some of this information over here because it's not really that important. And what I'm pointing to is the average daily rate. This is the average of everything that's right here on this map. It's not really specific enough for me to kind of just jump off and say that that's where I'm going to be. At the same time, this occupancy rate actually is pretty good. I would consider that a good number because, one, it's high. Two, if everybody in this area is going to be somewhere around there, all the stuff, that's pretty good. But then there's some caution there too. That could mean that these people are really, really underpriced. If you're underpriced, if you're booking months in advance, yeah, you're going to have a high occupancy rate, but you're really going to be losing out on top dollars that you could be receiving. So we'll talk a little bit more about that too when we go over to the Airbnb side of things. And there's also a report here that I could show. Let's move down. As we go through, I can start to identify what separates my unit apart from all the other listings. For instance, this rental type, I know I'm going to have an entire home. So I easily can see 78% of my listing is going to be the entire home, or that's my competition. I also see that 79% of the ones that are displayed are on Airbnb, 10% are on HomeAway, 11% are on both. What this tells me is technically there's 11% of real hosts, real players, real competition that I really need to be focusing in on. Why? Because they are looking to rent their place as much as possible. What Airdna doesn't show me is stuff that is listed on booking.com or Expedia or stuff like that. So I don't see those numbers, but I know that 11% of these people probably are on more than the two if they're already on the double. This next section here, this shows me how many bedrooms that all my competition has. I know I'm going to probably be looking somewhere in the 3-bedroom range just to kind of separate myself again from a lot of people. So there's only 15% of the entire home listings. I'm going to skip down to here. This is the amenities area is great for people in rural markets or markets that have just overall a lot of competition. I mean, this is the city, so parking alone is difficult. Only 70% of our listings here have parking available. Cable TV. Let's talk about that for just a second. I don't have cable TV in all of my units. I normally just provide high-speed internet and apps. The only time I would consider having cable TV is when my dollar amount is going to exceed $400 a night. And the reason why is I know that that's a different type of clientele for me. That clientele probably is a little bit older and they're pretty much used to turning the TV on and just clicking the channel up button until they find something that they like. So I want to make sure that they're comfortable doing that in my spot. We see the available listings with pools and hot tubs. Maybe if you're in a rural area and you see these numbers are low, maybe you can incorporate a hot tub that could give you a good benefit. I still shy away from pools because of liability. Hot tubs are a little bit different. All right. So because we all are real players here, let's just go over to this top producers link right here. All right. This shows us the top properties that are listed here. Oh, this was perfect. This one's on Airbnb and HomeAway. So I know this guy is a top guy. Look at the revenue. We're talking about $143,000 a year. His average daily rate is $651. Was that a lot higher than the other number that we've seen? I think so. I think the other number was like 150. So you see why I ignore that information? So as we go through here, I'm looking for, if I had an exact property, I'm either looking for how I should style my property, what's going to get me the best dollar, or I'm going to look for how my property is already styled, what people are charging for something very similar. So I can click on any one of these and pull up the data. I can go over here and just hover over some of the data. I see this guy's got an 81% occupancy rate at $495 a night. That is a strong comparable to what I'm going to be doing. He breaks in $130K a year. Fantastic. And more importantly, he only does it on HomeAway. There's no Airbnb link there. All right. Different property, even better numbers. 91% occupancy at $466, $154K a year. If I were to click on this listing, I should get his Airbnb link. All right, let's just take a deep dive on this. Oh, this guy's not a super host. You could be a super host and probably command a little bit more money. All right, I'm just going here and I'm just taking a look at photos, trying to see, how this guy is able to command so much. I see he's got 99 photos here. Okay, that's nice. All right, got a feature wall. Okay, we got a little wow. I think that's pull-out sofa. This looks like a basement apartment. All right, I'm not going to click through all 99, but I don't really see this as being comparable to one of my properties. I might be able to charge a little bit more than he is. Queen bed, and two doubles. We'll talk about how to use some of this to get some of the same data. Let's go back to Airdna, and we're going to click on Rentalizer. They already preloaded the property. We'll just roll with this one. Up in this corner, you could put in any property in any configuration that you want. If you know your property is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, and you can accommodate 6. We'll give it a real address.
So we're looking at which tab are we looking at right now?
Right now, we're under Rentalizer.
And what is this supposed to do?
This is like a quick comp, similar to what you would get from a realtor if you were buying a property. This is a comparables kind of listing.
So now I'm seeing over in the corner, it's saying you have to subscribe to that zip code and add it to your cart.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
So how much do you have to pay for a zip code?
One zip code is $39. I believe you can get the whole city for $100. All right, so I got a property pulled up. Like I said, this is going to be a very conservative estimate. I just pulled up any random property and I'm just looking at some numbers. You can see that this report is printable. This just really looks good when you're presenting in front of somebody. You always want to err on the side of being conservative, in my opinion. That way you can over deliver. And when you know what you know, you'll be able to show everything that you need to show. All right, so let's go down this list. This Rentalizer tool is kind of separating everything that you would need to kind of present if that was on the overview page. It has an annual revenue estimate of about $55,000, an average nightly rate of about average nightly rate of $232 at an occupancy rate of 65%. You see the forecast here. Notice the months in which are low. This is seasonality, right? So remember, we want to take a look at these peaks and valleys, and we want to make sure that we are estimating right somewhere in between, just on an average, and our spending matches some of that stuff. All right, so let's skip down to the occupancy forecast. Occupancy forecast, again, shows those numbers in just a different chart of what you can expect during certain months. So November, 34% occupancy. Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get cold. Christmas time is coming. Maybe you got a Christmas stay, which is great. January, it's freezing in DC. So not too much going on there. We don't have a ski market or anything that way. You're just literally at home shaking pretty cold. Down here at your comparables, again, this is what the tool kind of pulled up as just some comparables. You see Certain occupancy rates are higher than others. You also see some of your average daily rates, which are higher than others. One thing to really, really think about, and I'll repeat it again, is that you should be going for more revenue than it is occupancy. So if you could charge a higher dollar amount and have maybe a 70% occupancy rate, I think that that is better than having a 90% occupancy rate and technically ending up at the same number by the time you subtract your additional cleaning fees that you have to pay because it's turned so much. So consider that. You can use this as a springboard again, just to spring over into Airbnb to look at the listings up close. But these are what the comparables that the tool kind of brought up and said, hey, according to this address and what you put in up top as far as bedrooms and bathrooms, these are comparables. That's pretty much Airdna. I like to use it as a quick tool because the other method without Airdna takes a little bit more time and you got to write down some things and it doesn't bring up another platform. But let's take a deeper dive into how to do this within Airbnb.
So I'm a new host and I am just trying to get into a specific market. Maybe someone tells me like, "Hey, you should check out Kentucky or you should check out Mississippi." Let's say you should check out Washington D.C. Where do I even know? Because you're saying you have to pay for specific zip codes, or you could pay for the whole city, but that's going to be a lot more. How do you even know where to even start?
If you're going to use AirDNA, starting is fairly simple. I'm going to put in a new zip code, right? It's more than likely, let's do it up here, going to tell me that I need to pay for that zip code. Right? You see this $39 a month? This tells me that, hey, you didn't buy this, you can buy it here. Or I can unlock the entire city of Alexandria instead of just this one zip code. The entire city pulls up all 756 listings and 14 neighborhoods versus the 265. If you think you're going to go out and mine and try to find within a certain city, it's probably better to just jump and get the whole city.
I'm seeing it's $40 a month, so it's not just $40 for one zip code. You have to pay $40 a month.
You pay a monthly fee for the data. Yes, you can cancel at any time. Typically, I get it and I cancel.
Okay.
And I also see that the dollar amount monthly is different per zip code. Again, if I go back to is that the same? Yeah. So see, this neighborhood is $39 a month, or I can buy the entire city of Washington, D.C. for $100. So it looks like their pricing is a little different. It's probably going to be very unique to your area, but you do have the option to pull the whole city or just a single neighborhood.
So at which point should you be looking to maybe invest a little bit of money into analyzing a specific market?
You know, I think it might be worth it if you have it to just go ahead and pull maybe the city, if you've decided that the city that you're in works, or the city that you're marketing or trying to find a landlord that's going to lease you some apartments, or you're trying to co-host in an area, go ahead and just pull the city. That way you have the data. You can pull it the one time and then you can cancel the subscription so it's completely done. Versus maybe you buy the $39 plan in this scenario and then you go somewhere else and it's just outside that neighborhood. Then you'd almost have to go back and do another $39 purchase, which at that point, it's a toss up with which one was smarter.
So you're going to be using AirDNA if you have a property in mind. So maybe even before you're looking at AirDNA, are you like maybe looking at properties that you're looking to maybe purchase or fix up or co-host or whatever it is?
Yeah, I'm going to use this tool as an early stage after I probably check regulations at the local city or wherever I'm looking to go. So I want to know one, regulation wise, if it's really worth me doing this and spending the money. If it is, then I'll spend it, grab the data. And again, if I'm showing this to somebody, this tool is really nice and it looks really good and I can print it out and somebody's going to be impressed.
So then you take this data and then what are you applying it to?
I'm applying it to, I'm looking at the top properties, right? That tells me my target. If they're doing it, I can do it. I'm going to be a top producer. I know that. So I want to weed out all the guys that just don't do it full time. You know, the people that don't do it as a business, they're not going to do it as well as I'm going to do it because they don't need to. Um, so I'm going to take this information. It's going to tell me how to technically position my listing.
So really the big kind of key takeaway from AirDNA is that you're looking at a specific market, getting a good idea for the market as a whole. And like you said, you're looking at who are the actual real players in the space by comparing the listed on both Airbnb and HomeAway, because that gives you a better idea, the people that are maybe a little bit more serious into this business. And then after that, you're looking at the top properties and seeing who are the top producers so that you can see if you're going to be trying to get into maybe that type of niche, see which people are the top producers for a specific niche for the property that you have in mind. So maybe there's a top producer for someone that is doing a vacation, more like adventurous stay. You'll look in a specific area for those vacation properties as compared to a top producer in more of a luxury or business niche.
There you go.
Okay, that sounds like a really helpful tool. Something that I would definitely look at if I'm looking to maybe co-host a property. I have a property that I'm going to be managing pretty soon, so this is maybe something that could be good to show my client and say, hey, this is what is going on in the area. Maybe this is what we'd be able to get, and being a top producer, which we all strive for, this is what this is what we can look to expect at. So what is the free version that you're saying if maybe I don't have the money, or maybe I'm a little bit too early into maybe committing some money into a specific area? What's the best free version?
Best free version is to start data mining your own data. Instead of using AirDNA where they get the data from the booking source, you're going to have to kind of dig for it. That means first opening Airbnb and typing in the city that you want to look into. If you don't mind, can you give me a city? Any city.
Um, let's do Mississippi.
Mississippi. Oh Lord, how many MISs?
MISSISSIPPI.
All right. So we're going to be in Mississippi. Are we looking at entire bookings or a whole house?
Let's try to find luxury stays in Mississippi.
All right. So we're going to go through entire homes. Oh, all right. You said luxury. For just a little side note, I hate words like luxury.
Okay, what would you rather use?
Well, I mean, just in general, let's just say when you go down the road and you see something that says luxury apartment, and it's the oldest apartment building, period, in the whole city, and let's just say you were to go and tour it, and you see white appliances and vinyl floors and, a door that doesn't really open.
Hmm.
That's not luxury to me, but it might be to somebody else. So, in my opinion, luxury is one of those words that is interpreted a little different. It's really up to the person to decide if it's luxury or not.
Okay.
So
So
you
let's do modern high class.
modern high class. That's the same thing.
Ah,
All right, let's look at this looks like a good listing. It's by a superhost. It's got 99 reviews. It sleeps 8 guests. It says a lake house. All right. So let's just say I don't know which area this exactly is, Gulfport. Let's just say you're looking in Gulfport and you are trying to find a property, maybe going to convert your own property. And here's where I'd start. I'd look at my competition. I'd look around the general area for something that I feel like is going to be the same aesthetic, maybe the same feel, and attract the same guest as me. Um, Looking at the photos, this place looks like someplace I would stay. I mean, it's got nice seating. It's designed fairly well. Looks very comfortable at the same time. It's got great outdoor space. It looks like it backs to some type of water source. Yeah, this is great. Um, Guys got good reviews. Again, we talked about 99 reviews, super host. These are all things that should be you if this is what you want to do for any type of business. You should end up being a super host. You should have great reviews. Yeah, this guy's hitting the mark pretty good. Um, all right, so I'm in the area. I looked at the photos. I found out that it is very similar to what I'm going to end up going to do. I want to see how advanced this guy is. So I'm looking at the calendar. I see only one date available for July. Granted, today is the 25th, so there's not too many more days left, but he's got one day that's unbooked. That's pretty good. If you go into the next month, he's got a few days that's unbooked, but technically 0 to 7 days is good. I mean, this is booked pretty well. He probably has blocked off September on. So let's just focus on August. I'm going to take just the stab and pick any date. All right, I'm going to choose the 15th through 18th. All right, what you've seen up top was the nightly rate change from $99 to $122, but you also see this scratch out of $173. This is all a good sign for me because this tells me that this guy does something with automated pricing. And when you're going to go out and strive to be a super host and get top dollar, you want to make sure that your pricing is automated. So the price went up from 99 to 122. I'm going to go ahead and back out or clear these dates. And I'm going to select some other dates just to see how well this guy really does pricing. All right, I got 122 before. Now I'm down to 113. He's got something automated. I can't tell right now if this is smart pricing by Airbnb or if you use some type of external source. Typically, with my pricing, the further out you are, the little bit more it is. Because if you want to book that early, you're going to pay a premium. And I'm going to, yeah, people that book shorter or as the date gets closer to whatever stay, they're technically going to pay a little bit less because there's some type of discount curve to fill those days. Um, so what I gathered from this and what you should have got that I didn't necessarily identify is occupancy rate. I'm projecting that this guy is going to have a really good occupancy rate for August and has had a decent occupancy rate for July. So this would comfort me in a sense to let me know that, hey, this is a good market. This guy is able to fill up at this price. So got to keep in mind the price that he's at. Let's try to find one that's more expensive. Wow, Mississippi's really cheap. right, I'm on the second page. Oh, that one's not near Gulfport for sure.
I see one down in the corner there, 145. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, 145. I think it said it sleeps 10 guests. It looks like a nice estate if that's the driveway. They obviously are really trying to push the exterior of their home because they have so many photos. It is by a lake. Looks like they do parties. They have a lot of land.
I think that's Coast Guard.
Coast Guard?
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh, there's a coastie.
all right. We got a pool and a hot tub. Wow. Nice outdoor space. Yeah, they got a bunch of games. All right, now we're getting to the inside. Oh man, it's
Ugh.
not, there's really no light in there. So got some
Yeesh.
nice folding going on. Eek.
Little outdated, but
Is that two queen beds in a room? I think so. Jetted tubs. Um, Bedding people. Let's stick with white. White bedding, please. All right. Pretty similar. We got a super host here. We got almost 100 or 100 reviews, and we got a nightly projected price of 145. If I scroll down, this person looks like they're all gone. They're all gone from July. They're mostly booked for August. They're somewhat booked for September. I'm telling you right now that this person's pricing is too low. Unless these are weddings, because I did see some wedding photos, this is not a good sign. Let's investigate some dates. Give me some dates, Julian.
let's do the weekend of the 16th. I'd like to get married.
All right, 16th through 18th. Price jumps to 185. All right, I'm going to try some more. I'm going to pick the 18th through the 20th. All right, 145. I'm going to tell you that this person probably uses Airbnb smart pricing. Why you shouldn't use Airbnb smart pricing. Airbnb is a booking channel that gets paid when people book. So with them creating smart pricing, they will get your place booked so they can feed themselves money, not necessarily for your benefit. So don't use smart pricing, use some type of external tool. I used Beyond Pricing. I'm sorry. Beyond Pricing is one that's out there. Julian uses Beyond Pricing. I used Price Labs. I have used Wheelhouse. They're all great. Anything that automates pricing is a good tool. I necessarily can't suggest one over the other. I'm more familiar with some over the others, but automate your pricing is definitely mandatory. So this person is probably leaving a good $50 to $60 a night on the table just because they're using smart pricing. I mean, they got bookings in November. I mean, yeah. Let's see, what else? We talked about occupancy rate. You can see that this is still good. We see that they're leaving some money on the table. So if you had some land, I don't think the other property had this amount of land, you know, you can price a little bit more. What you don't really have is a solid number. You'd almost have to shoot in the dark on a range. So right now we've seen $99 and $145. We probably have an upside of about 160. So I would pick a number in between that range to start off and then test to see when you book. If you are booking months in advance, your pricing is low. If you're not booking 0 to 7 days out, your pricing is too high.
So So now that we have this information, we have the occupancy rate, we have the average nightly rate for maybe specific types of properties. What am I doing with this data? If I am trying to get into this space, maybe as let's compare it from like a rental arbitrage sublease model versus a co-host versus like a turnkey property.
It's the same numbers. It's the same, this is really about what you can pull in. It's not about the different type of strategy. If you don't think you can cover from, whatever strategy you're trying to choose with this information. So for instance, if you're renting an apartment and let's just say there were DC numbers down here, where an apartment is easily $2,500 and you can only rent it for $90 a night. You won't be making much money there. I mean, so that would deter me from doing the rental arbitrage method in this market if pricing were like that. Normally, your nightly rate is somewhat reflective of what you need to pull in to kind of sustain almost any one of the models. So I'm probably going to assume that housing prices in this area isn't too high. Because if they only need 145 a night, I'm sure they got a decent profit that they think they're bringing in. So their note must be, I don't know, somewhere 22,000, 2,200 or something like that.
So now that we have this information, we know how much their nightly price is, the occupancy. How do you know that this is probably going to be a good market for you to invest in?
It's really as long as the numbers work. If the numbers work, it's a decent market. If you know the travelers that come into this area, if you know who you're going to target with your design, as long as it matches the travelers that are coming in and the numbers work, it's a good area. Like this house right here, this little cottage, $75 a night. That's probably going to make a killing. They probably built this thing for $20,000 total. So, yeah, as long as the numbers work, you're in a good spot. Once you grow, and once you're ready to really expand outside of your market, then you want to look at more seasonality, stuff that have an offset to the seasons that you're currently in your backyard. So that way you can have the same amount of income, technically month in and month out, without having to worry about stashing some stuff away just to pay for the low season.
All right, Host Nation. So I hope you all really benefited. I know that I learned so much just looking at the AirDNA side, because a lot of the research that maybe you might be starting off with will be just utilizing Airbnb. So this was a very good entry into researching an area, understanding the occupancy, understanding the dynamic pricing, understanding the nightly rate, and what you should be looking for if you are trying to go maybe rental arbitrage, co-hosting, turnkey, what you can kind of expect for what you would have to cover for your expenses and what you could potentially make on the other end. And the AirDNA, that was very interesting, looking at the zip code and looking at all of the data that is available. I think that is a very nice suite of tools that will be useful for you if you are trying to implement any of these strategies and you're ready to start getting a little bit more serious into your vacation rental machine. But if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. Let us know what we can do to be able to better help you understand this information, and we're just going to keep on moving on with this vacation rental machine. So until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting. Hope you hosts found value in this episode. If you did, please go on over to iTunes and leave us a review, as that would greatly support the show. If you'd like to connect with John, the community, and I, then go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation. Talk to you hosts in the next episode. Keep on hosting.